Okay, so today we're gonna go ahead and try an experiment with handstands. What I'm gonna do is do the handstands and then try to feel exactly, try to become aware of each muscle, each sort of thing that's activated, like my fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders, and so on. And we're gonna do that for two different occasions. The first one is going to go ahead and be the upper body, which I consider to be around this area up. So core and below will be lower body, and that'll be for next time. Today, let's go ahead and try the handstands, and then I'm going to go over what I'm feeling for each part and which parts are important. So this way you guys can do practice your handstands and be able to try to also feel these things yourself, and hopefully that'll help you out. So right now my handstands, I've only been consistent for yesterday and Monday. Before that I haven't done them for like maybe 3 months or so, or 3 to 4 months. But at my peak, which was like maybe 4 months ago for handstands, I was able to get up to 59 seconds, and that was with the timer. So that's almost a minute, 1 second off of a minute. So I do have a good amount of experience practicing just handstands. So let's go ahead and just try it right now. I do not know. First ones are usually wild cards. I have no idea if they go right or wrong. Okay, that one was a good one. But what I did do that maybe you didn't see in the camera is my legs went over my head, and then it wanted to go more. But what I did with my fingers that stopped it was I actually applied a lot of pressure on the floor. So if this is the floor and this is my left hand, what I had to do was push with all 4 fingers. The thumb didn't really do anything or do much. It was sort of just there for like balance. But these 4 fingers were the fingers that I pushed with the most, sort of like just digging them into the ground. And I did that with both hands with equal force. And all of these things you don't really think about, you just sort of do once you get experience with handstands, because like you can feel yourself about to go over. But like the more you go over that sort of sweet spot where you don't have to activate your fingers as much, the more your fingers are gonna have to work. So after I initially did that and went up and beyond my head, it was a lot of pressure, a lot of force from my fingers, and then I rebalanced, and from there my fingers actually weren't activated all too much. They were just there for balance, and I was just like floating at that sweet spot. And let's go ahead and do one more, and then we'll talk about a different area. Okay, this time I could feel that as I kept holding it, this sort of muscle in between the shoulder blades was being flexed quite a lot. So like I guess like the shoulders. Definitely that time there was a good amount of instability, so I was applying a good amount of like rebalancing with my fingers and my wrists. So my wrists would move around, like it would have to like shift around a bit at the same time my fingers were sort of pressing against the floor. So I feel like these two are the main balancing factors, but without my elbows completely locking, like if you bend your elbow even a little bit, the balance is just going to be completely off. So the first two prerequisites that I feel while I did those two handstands and all the handstands I've ever done is my elbows lock. Both of them are completely straight the entire time, like right from the entrance. If you fail to do that, you're going to be off balance immediately. And then the second one is the shoulders locking. Like shoulders, I'll do an example where my shoulders are locked and then I'll unlock them. I don't know how that would go, but let's just try it. Yeah, it's like they're like this when you're locked, and then they sag when you don't lock them. So it felt like everything was plummeting down on my arms when I did that. Like all my weight all of a sudden shifted to, I don't know, it just shifted there. It's obviously already on your arms, but it felt like more weight, I suppose. Like that muscle's not activated, so everything else has to like bear that weight instead. At least that's my thought. And for the arms and shoulder, that's pretty much what you have to focus on. That's what I'm feeling while I do the handstand. I feel this being locked, I feel my shoulders being locked. I also feel my wrist and my fingers helping each other rebalance. And it's pretty like, at least the second one, it was very erratic. It was like, it was doing this quite a lot. Like it was like constantly doing that and shaking. From that camera view, I don't think you can see it, but let's try a third one and see one more time in terms of upper body, what my head is doing, and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so been doing this 2 days in a row, so this side is actually getting a little tight. I gotta stretch it out after this. So what I felt that time, or what my head was doing that time, or every time, is I always look. So if these were my hand positions, I would always look with my eyes at the very center and a little bit above my hands. So somewhere around like this area right here. So my head is basically always like looking up or looking down, but bending like that. So I did try an experiment that third time to just see like what would happen if my eyes looked away. And I felt like when my eyes looked, instead of like my eyes looking here, my eyes were looking like back there. And I felt like I was gonna fall. So I immediately like looked back up, but I also looked to the sides, like to my hands. And it felt decently stable. So I think this is something like you sort of train that's more mental than it is like a muscle. So for me, what I look at helps my balance. But I do think like, depending on what you're doing this for, it's a good idea to not fully depend on where you're looking, because like say you want 2000s or something, then your head will actually be tucked in instead, and you'll need a lot of stability for your arms and stuff. So I guess that's what you're training. But if you're just training a handstand, I would advise to just look a little bit above your hands in the middle, forming like a triangle. And in terms of awareness for upper body, that is pretty much it. Now I will do 2 hand hops on each side. I actually sort of use this as a quick training routine for myself, just handstands and then 2 hand hops. I did that each time and somehow succeeded all 3, which is great. But let's go ahead and do 1 hand hop right here, so with 1 hand, and then the second one, another hand hop. And then that'll be it for this video. Okay, that was decent. Second one, this is not going to be decent. I'm not even hopping, it's like... Okay, that was like the best I've ever done for left side, so I'm happy with that. And that'll be it for this video. If you liked it, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching.